Hi, I'm Janetta and I'm here with a fun summer project for you. So when I think of summer, I think of patterns, bright colors, sunshine, barbecues, cocktail parties, and really good food and drink. So to usher in the summer vibes, I'd like to create a summer cocktail napkin that I'm going to design myself. I'm going to create a summer pattern that is made from cocktail umbrellas and fruit garnishes. And I'm going to make that artwork on the iPad using the Procreate app. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and upload that artwork to the online fabric printing site, Spoonflower.com, where we'll have the napkins made. I think this is a fun project where you can create your own designs and have your own designs printed on table linens and cocktail napkins and all sorts of fun things to use in your summer gatherings. Now we're going to open up Procreate on the iPad, and I would like you to create a new canvas in the size of, make it 12 by 12 inches. So we're going to work in inches and make the DPI 150. And this is because Spoonflower requires 150 DPI, but this will be the settings that you need to create your file. The reason I made it 12 by 12 is because Spoonflower prints fabric and wallpaper is at a 24-inch width. So if you make your file 12 inches wide, then it will repeat 2 times over for wallpaper, and then you could also just use that size for any of the fabric substrates as well. And it also gives you the option of sizing it smaller and scaling it down as well in your account. So if it is too large, you can make different sizes, and they will work for all the different substrates. So we're going to start at the larger size, which is 12 by 12, and it'll give you a lot more versatility. So I will pull reference from Pinterest and Google and use that to draw the cocktail umbrellas. I will use it for inspiration for patterns and color and design and shape and even the angles that I'm going to draw. Here we are in Pinterest. I went to my Pinterest account and we're typing in cocktail umbrellas. And this is what we get. We get lots of ideas for color schemes and patterns for the umbrellas, angles that we can draw the umbrellas at, like those are really cool. And that's really what I'm looking for when I'm looking here, like what inspires me to start drawing. I like these flowers that are on here a lot, and I like those angles too. Oh, that's really cute. Yeah, just keep looking for something that I think is going to be really helpful. This is great. I love the umbrella in the middle, so you can kind of see the inside. And when you scroll down, after you click on something, you can see more options as well. So now I'm going to go to Google and search for cocktail umbrellas. Some of these images are also on Pinterest. So if I go to the image tab, I can see, I've seen some of these before, which is great. And I really like some of these ones that are upright. I like that one too. You can see the top of it. They have really good angles. Those are great colors as well. Now we're going to start to draw, and we're going to pull out the iPad, and I'm going to just draw from some of this reference that we pulled. I like these angles. I like the side angles as well as the ones where you can see the inside of the umbrella. So I'm just going to do one that's more straight on. And I just love oranges and pinks and teals, so I'm going to do something in that color scheme and just see how it comes out. So I'm just going to draw the stems, or the toothpicks, I guess. Thin them out and make them look as natural as possible. I'm using some distressed brushes that are in the brush palette that come with Procreate. So I'm not using anything fancy or anything, just something that has more of a natural edge to it. I like some of the brushes in the ink, as well as the paint, some of the paint brushes too. And we're going to make that same color, the same color as the other one. So I'm just selecting that color again and matching the toothpick part up to the other one. Just going to thin it out a little bit. And it's on a weird angle and the size is a little strange, so I'm just going to go in and use a free-form selection tool and just move it around. And then I'm going to adjust the toothpick again so it looks more natural. Now here I want to add a shadow, so what I did was I went ahead and added a new layer above the toothpick layer, and I click to the left and I hit mask, and it's just masking that into the shape of it so I don't draw outside of the lines. And you can see here that it's right on top, it's right in there. And I just use a slightly darker color. Alright, I'm going to add those little the inner toothpick parts that stick out that you can see. And just add it to both. Alright, you can see it. And I'm going to select all of that and move it up, and now I want to draw a third one, and I'm going to use a different color. I want something that's pinkier. I'm going to use the same brush I used before and just go in and draw the rough shape. Fill it in, and I'm going to eliminate it a little bit more. I want to see the inside, so I need to draw it to match some of the references so you could see the inside. So right now it kind of looks like lips. I'm going to draw the toothpick coming from the inside out. And I did that on a separate layer so I can position them where I need and also edit them easily. And clean that up. Okay, now I'm selecting that darker color and I'm doing a layer mask right on top, and that's adding a layer above the toothpick layer, tapping on the left edge, clicking layer mask, and then I can draw right on top of it. Just like that. Looks pretty good. Okay, so now I need to decorate these umbrellas. I'm going to go to the dry ink brush, which is what I was using before, and I'm just going to do something that mimics what I'm seeing in the reference, and I like the flowers that I see. So I'm just going to draw right on the pink umbrella, and I'm going to use some of the other colors that are in here and different tones of them. Maybe they're lighter or darker. So I selected the orange from the orange umbrella and then I just made it lighter. So from here, I'm just going to add some white details, and I think that looks good. So I'm going to grab the pink from the other one, and I'm going to add some pink shapes. It's kind of decorative look, and then there you can see the creases in the top of the umbrella, and I want to do that in a slightly darker color than the umbrella and add an edge like that just kind of pops off the top. A little bit more white so you can see it, and just some more decorative details. So for the orange one, I'm going to do stripes, and I'm going to vary the sizes and use the same colors as the other umbrellas so they all coordinate. And then on both I'm going to draw those darker lines on top so you could see the creases. I think that looks pretty good. Alright, now we're going to move on to making the actual repeat pretty soon. So I'm just going to make some last adjustments to this one. I love that white edge on the teal one, so I want this edge to stand out. And I'm going to check it over again. And so here is where you can really go in and just keep adding details. Do a lot to it, or as much as you really feel like it needs. And now I'm just going to merge all of them together, all the different layers within each together, so they're just on 3 layers. So there you go. Now this will be easier to repeat. So let's go back to the layer palette. We're going to shut them all off except for one. And I just want to move it around and get it as close to the corner as possible, because it'll be a lot easier when you are repeating it off the edges, and you won't have to fill in so much in the center, and you'll see what I mean later. So really try to get them as close to the edge without touching the edges. And also, I don't really want these to overlap too much, so I want them to go in different directions and just look like they're organically being tossed up into the air, but also just not, you know, being in the exact same position as one another. So you'll see here, I'll just keep moving them until they look different enough and nudging them into the corners or the edges. So I'm going to duplicate this one. We're going to make another one. So each one is going to get duplicated so we could fill the page. And I want this one to be opposite it on the other side, smaller in scale. So I'm going to vary the scale on these so they're all not the same size. And I'm just going to keep duplicating them, rotating them into the negative spaces so they're not touching, and just being aware of the positions and also making sure they're not touching. And I want the scale to look as organic as it can be. I want them all to look a little different. So now I'm going to fill in. Now this is when you can fill in with any fruit that you want. If you want pineapples or oranges or lemons, I'm going to do cherries. So I picked this kind of a reddish cherry color. I think that complements the other ones. And I am just adding those cherry dots where I think that they'll look great in between and the negative space here. I'm using that same dry ink brush, and I'm going to draw the stems with it. And I'll make the brush a little bigger. And I'm using like a real cherry color for the stem. So here you can go ahead and go crazy and design it however you like. You can add patterns and color to the background. You can embellish the umbrellas more with more pattern, more textures and colors. You can also fill in the negative spaces with more fruit or dots or whatever you like. So now I'm just moving around these cherries, filling in the negative spaces, making some large, some small. There's another spot here I want to do that. Fill it in right there. And now I'm going to go to Hue Saturation in the Adjustments palette and just adjust that cherry color a little bit more, like a pinky color. I think that looks better. Now we're going to go to the background color in the layer palette, and it'll bring up this color palette here, and you can just select and find colors that look really nice with your composition. Maybe greens or teals. I like the light pinks. The blush pinks seem to look the best. And I'm going to save that in the color palette. Yeah, that looks good. All right. So now that the umbrellas are all arranged on the artboard, let's go ahead and make the repeat. So this is how we're going to make the repeat. We're going to go ahead and select all the layers, group them into one folder, and now we're going to go ahead and turn that on and off. You can see they're all in one now. And we're going to duplicate this. Now the second layer, we're going to make a third layer, and this one is going to be black. And this a little more black. There we go. And now this one we're going to lower the opacity on. So fill the whole layer with black, and we're going to go to the end and just lower that opacity just so enough so you can see the layers beneath. And we're going to select the top layer. Now we need to make sure that it stays aligned, so click the settings, magnetics, and snapping on. I think magnetics is not as necessary, but you could do that. Now click on snapping, and now we're going to slide it to the right, and you can see snapping helps it kind of stay aligned. And then right when you get to that edge, stop there. So you could see it's right halfway across, and you want to stop right at that point. So now we're going to select the other layer and the black layer. So the one you did not use, go to the selection tool and go to the opposite side and snap it right in till you get it to the edge. Shut off that black layer, and now that's the first part. So now it's repeating off the edge on the right and the left. And now there's going to be a gap in the middle. And that's what I was saying, get it as close, everything as close to the edge without going over, so you don't have to worry about that gap later on. So now we're going to flatten each of these. Now this is something I do want to warn you about. If you do not have your original layers, it's going to be harder to go back and make changes. So you may want to just keep that original art layer from back in the beginning when you're going to do this again on your own. So maybe some of the individual umbrellas. So if you want to make duplicates and fill in with them later, or do cherries or whatever, it'd be nice to have those layers. But you can cut them out. So see what I'm doing here? Now that it's on one layer, I can use the selection tool and go in and trace over them. And at this point, it's easier to move them around as well. But it can only move around the ones that are in the middle and that are complete, not anything that's cut off. So having those other options is helpful too, but we do have enough here that are complete so we can move them around. So I'm going to just nudge this into the center more, closer to the other one, and fill in those little gaps in the middle, and so you can't see that kind of that hole down the center. And I'm going to change that color one more time. I'm getting a little picky with that adjustment layer. So I'm going to go in there and move the saturation up. I just want a little more contrast, a little more vibrancy. So do as you did before and select the top black layer. If you need to make a new one, delete that black layer, make a new one, fill it with black, and bring down the opacity by clicking on the N. Select the uppermost layer, make sure you duplicate the layer, and then select the black, the uppermost layer, and move it up. Snap it into place, and then do it with the bottom. This is your repeat. 3-finger swipe down. When you do that, you're going to have a panel come up. Copy all. Make a new layer at the top. The 3-finger swipe down again, and select paste, and it will paste the whole thing. It'll basically take like a screenshot of everything. That will be your swatch layer. So now I want to test this out. So I'm going to duplicate that, shut off the original, and we're going to make multiple duplicates of this and tile them together and make sure that they fit together nicely left to right. If there's any problems, you'll see a misalignment, and then you might have to go back and just double finger tap and undo all the way until where the problem started. And maybe when you had separated the layers at some point. So maybe you just didn't snap it to the corner. And here you go. It works. Here is where you can, if you want to like try something new and maybe try a new background color or mess around with it a little bit more, you can do that. And you can just go through the same steps again and just create a new background color if you want a different version of it. So if it all looks great, go ahead and export it as a JPEG. And that JPEG you will use to upload to your spoonflower.com account. So now we're going to export. So go to the wrench tool, and then under there you're going to go to share. And at share, you're going to click on JPEG. So I like to airdrop my file from my iPad to my laptop, and then I upload it to spoonflower.com from there. But if you like to just use your iPad only or your tablet only, feel free. You can export it directly to a folder or your photos on your tablet or your iPad, and then go to spoonflower.com on your browser and upload it there. Here we are on spoonflower.com. Now we're going to upload your swatch. Go to your account and click on Upload. Click on Browse. Select your file. And here, scroll down to the copyright section and make sure you click on the I own my rights, and then click on Upload. Now you'll see after a few minutes your file will be uploaded. And here it is. Here in this window you can do several things. You can see now, you see the fat quarter view. So this is the 21 inch by 18 inch view. Then you can go ahead and see it 8 by 8 and the yard view. You can also click on wallpaper and see your wallpaper scale as well as the mock-up. Click back on fabric, and now here you can do a few things. You can also click on the fabric that you'd like to see. Now you will have to get your swatch first sent to you. After that, you can go ahead and approve it and then upload it and make sure everything's right and upload it to your Spoonflower store for other people to purchase. You can also start purchasing items from the Spoonflower shop like table linens and housewares. And you can get great mock-ups on here of what it will look like. When you are saving your pattern, you can go ahead and put a name, a description in, and tags. Tags are really important. Make sure that you tag them with all things that people would search for. So for this case, I would put things like cocktails or pink, even the colors, obviously cocktail umbrellas and all the subject matter that's in there, like cherries, anything that someone would search for it for. And when you go to put it out for sale, make sure you click all three of those if you want it for fabric or wallpaper, and click the top button that says you're making it available for sales. And then you can see what it looks like in mock-up form on the different substrates. Here is wallpaper and all the mock-ups that they provide. And then you can go scroll down to kitchen and dining, and you can see the table linens. And there's the cocktail napkins. And all the mock-ups. Now this is what I was saying from before, that you can resize your artwork. Spoonflower gives you the opportunity here to go smaller and in some cases go bigger. Here you can make the scale smaller, and by clicking on the smaller button, and you can see that it goes down a few inches. So at this point, I think for the napkins, I need a smaller scale. So I'm gonna go smaller. Then make sure you save that version. So when you name that, save it as cocktail umbrellas, pink small. And from there, you can also make a bigger version. And lots of people do that on Spoonflower, so they know what scale they're selling on here. So if people want it for wallpaper, they'll know they're getting the larger scale versus something that requires a smaller scale, like a cocktail napkin. And you can see here that it works really well for the cocktail napkin preview. And there you have it. I hope you found this a really fun project to make, and I hope it brings more joy to your summer gatherings.